There's a. This is an embarrassing story. This is just a story that I should tell you guys because this is something that happened. There's one of my daughter's teachers, when Mercy was just in pre-K, whatever the fuck, my wife and her became tight. My wife and her and another teacher became tight. My wife is still in very good standing at that preschool. They go out at some nights. The mothers go out. They go to fucking that bar around the corner, and they talk or whatever. But this particular teacher lives by herself. You know, she is a hustler. I mean, she's a fucking nonstop. She walks dogs. She takes care of kids. She'll pick your kid up and drive him to school for the extra small 20. You know, it never ends with her. She's a hustler. And she likes my wife's cooking. So there's certain nights that if my wife cooks something, I'll say, hey, text her, tell her to come over. And we got the Dodger game on. She's a big-time fucking Dodger fan. And I got to tell you something, guys. When she comes over, I love it. Because it keeps my wife out of my ear. It keeps my wife entertained, which my wife needs, because all day long she's talking to a child, or she's talking to mommy, or she's talking to me. You know what I'm saying? So after a while, you need to talk to other fucking adults about whatever. I don't care what they talk about. When she's there, this lady's usually in the kitchen standing with my wife, and me and my daughter are watching TV until I get ready to go to the comedy store. There's some nights while I'm in the comedy store, my wife will call and say, hey, Miss whatever's staying over tonight, so don't sweat the small stuff. She's leaving at 6. I go in my office at night, I smoke dope. It's like she's not even there. She probably spends 2 nights a week at the house.
Really? I didn't know that.
2 nights a week she comes over, eats. Some nights she comes over, eats, leaves, goes to a Dodger game, and then since she lives like up the 101, she just crashes at the house. Takes a shower in the morning, brings clothes, and goes right to school over here. Nice. I don't even see her. By the time I get up, she's gone. The room is clean. She makes the bed. Very self-sufficient. The point of the story was, when I was fucking broke as shit, this is a weird story. When I was broke as fuck, I was living in Boulder. I was giving all my money. It went 50-50 those days. Half of it went to the attorney, and half of it went up my fucking nose, and the other half went to Chinese food. I was swimming at the Y. I was lifting weights in my apartment. I didn't have cable. I don't know if I think I stole cable from the landlord. I had the cable. I stole the wire to the TV, and I connected it to my TV. I was a fucking mess. But there was a kid I worked with. I worked for a sports betting service. And my first year wasn't very good. You know, it wasn't that I was very good. It was that I was snorting so much coke that it had blocked. When you snort so much coke, it blocks the communication from your brain to your heart to your words. That's why if I did coke the night before I had a big show, I always ate a bag of dick. I always felt like I was up on stage with no control. I was just saying the words. So it's weird. I was a good salesman, but I was in such bad shape psychologically. The divorce, you know, the kid, I wanted to do stand-up comedy. Here I am calling people, tormenting them for their credit cards and shit. You know, it just wasn't a fucking fun place for me. But I would go home at night, and I would go to my little apartment, and I would take a shower and go do comedy, you know. And some nights, even if I didn't have a spot, I'd still go to a spot because I'm looking for a spot. And somebody would go, hey, guess what? Timmy Jones has a room 2 miles from here. It's a shitty pizza place. But just by me showing up there, I got to do a spot somewhere else, and the guy gave me a pizza, and he gave me a pizza to go home. So, fuck it. That's what you do. But there were nights, man, when it would just catch up to me. The whole week would catch up to me. And I was young and virile, and I was, I slept 3-4 hours a night. And there was a guy over there, his name was Sammy. I used to call him Sammy Funky Cole Medina. Sammy was maybe my age at the time. We were both in our early 30s. Yeah. But Sammy had hooked up with a 50-year-old Chinese woman. That was one of the most nicest people you ever met in your life. Her family owned a couple Chinese restaurants in Boston.
Wow.
This is how big time she was. They met in Connecticut. And they dated for a couple of years, and they moved out to Boulder to try to do whatever the fuck they were doing. I used to call her White Powder Ma because she was Chinese, and I used to call him Sammy Funky Cole Medina. And when I was at my darkest, guys, I mean, when you're doing comedy and you're not making progress, I was making progress, but I wasn't. I wasn't up to the progress where I wanted to be, you know? Like, I was making progress and I didn't know it. Just me going out every night and writing and dedicating myself to it and, you know, missing out on parties and always doing comedy first. By 94, I had already made a certain discipline for myself that this is what it's going to be. There's no weddings. There's no nothing. This is it. If you want to do, after I saw Leguizamo, I was done. This is how it's done. There's no other way. If you want to do comedy. But there were nights, man, that there was really nothing going on. Like on the weekends, I could do a guest spot at McKelvey's or fucking Wits End or the other club. In those days, the Comedy Works wouldn't give you guest spots, and I wasn't a regular. So my Sunday through Thursday, I was busy as fuck comedy-wise. But Friday and Saturday, I would have a dick. And this fucking dude would call me up. I lived maybe 50 yards from his house. I would go up to his house. I would go upstairs. His wife would cook something for me, Chinese, Szechuan beef, shredded pork, twice cooked pork. Make it out of a house and a wok restaurant style. She used to make egg rolls. She used to make spare ribs. And I would go over there, eat like a lunatic. And then they would ask me to stay and watch a movie with them. And my choice every night was that stupid movie with Bruce Willis and Damon Wayans. When he's a football player and Bruce Willis is a detective and Eddie Griffin was in the movie. Eddie Griffin was the DJ in that movie, and I must have watched that movie 100 fucking times. I would watch it over and over and over. And this is how nice these people were.
The Last Boy Scout?
The Last Boy Scout. This is how nice these people were to me. If I was watching something on their TV, they would say, Joey, we're going to bed. The refrigerator is yours. If you need to call anybody, the phone is yours.
Wow.
The remote is yours. Stay here. I did that like maybe 20 times. And then they started telling me, dog, just spend the night. When you wake up, she'll make you breakfast. You go home, you take a shower, and we'll drive to work together. And that's what started happening. And it was like I would stop and try to get groceries for them. They took it, but they didn't like it. They knew the situation I was in. They just took care of me. They just took care of me. If I had a show somewhere that was 30 miles or farther, they would drive me.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's cool.
They would drive me and pick me up and take me back.
And he wasn't a comic. He just worked.
No, he was the farthest thing from a fucking comedian there was. But he just took care of me. Just out of the kindness of his heart. I'll never, ever, ever forget that. We stayed in touch for a couple of years. We stayed in touch for a while. And then we lost contact. And then he got my email somewhere or another, and we connected while I was shooting The Longest Yard. Not after it came out, while I was shooting it. We connected. I told him. I sent him the pictures, you know. And he was really happy for me and shit. Him and the Chinese chick broke up. She went back to Boston. The father died and left the $10 million.
Oh, okay.
So there was no use of being with him anymore. And he was doing, and we got along till about 2006. And then he made a bad call. He called me up asking me to hook him up with Adam Sandler and Joe Rogan. Oh. And I said I couldn't do that because that's the reason why I'm friends with him, because I never break that trust. And he took it the wrong way and never called me again. And that's what happened. But the moral to that story was that now I get to do this for the school teacher. That's a young girl. That's great. She's great to me. She knows I get high. She giggles when I'm high. You know, it's so weird how life repeats itself.